Morning, Paul.
Well, good morning, Warren. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Feeling a little bit tired today, but all good. Trying to G myself up for the week and this podcast.
Yes.
Forward to it.
Yes. Yeah, good. I mean, it's what fantastic weather. England are winning at football, despite complaints about it not being good enough. It's good enough for me. So yeah, life is pretty good at the moment, don't you think?
It is. Yeah, it is. Got nothing to moan about, really. In that regard, I must have said that's probably part of the reason why I'm tired because of the World Cup, because of these late games, Paul. I think
Yes.
out with me.
Yes, that's true. And I'm guessing you're also tired because, of course, you had the excitement, as did I, of us meeting face to face to record some marketing shed content.
Exactly, and that was fantastic, wasn't it? Yeah, we did that in person for the first time, so that was brilliant, wasn't it? And obviously, we had to do lots of prep for that. We were on stage at the Bankside Hotel, weren't we, with lots of brilliant other marketers. It was
Yes.
sick, wasn't it?
Well, it was good. I mean, the only issue was like with a lot of these conferences, great agenda, great attendees, great organisation, but it's in a hotel basement.
Yeah,
And this must be hotels when they're built. They must be like, oh, what do we do with the basement? Car park, yeah, tick. I know. Let's have a conference venue, and
so
then we can put everybody who wants to be outside in a windowless room for a day. So
yeah, it's so true. Yeah, that's so true, isn't it? They're always in windowless rooms, aren't they? Those conferences. It's funny.
I think so. But do you remember I think we both went to a marketing week session. Maybe it wasn't both of us, but that was brilliant because that was at, if I remember correctly, at
Did we?
News International.
Where was it?
News International. Do you remember?
Yeah, I don't think we were both at it, but that was where was that? It was in the Big Bit or Ember. I was invited to it, but I didn't make it.
Yeah, and it overlooked the Thames, and that's brilliant. And
Yeah.
it means if the speaker's not brilliant, I mean, unlike us, obviously, but if the speaker's not brilliant, you can look out the window. But if you're in a conference room, what can you
Maybe
do?
that
You're
would have
stuck.
maybe that would have aided ours then. Yeah. But we got some good feedback, so it's good.
Yes. So what have you been up to apart from our debut on stage together at a conference?
Well, apart from that and the World Cup, lots of stuff. The kids, obviously, that's always keeping me busy. There, and obviously school holidays next week is coming, so that's good. Just busy, keeping busy at work. To be honest, Paul, so there's lots going on. We've got some big strategy work going on, and I've also been reflecting back on we're kind of 8 months into this podcast now, and we didn't make much of a song and dance about it, but we've gone over 25,000 views of our content on the channel, which is brilliant, I think.
Yeah, love
Yeah,
that. Yeah. That means one person has watched us 25,000 times. Is that right?
refreshing, making sure it's all uploaded and all right. So probably 20,000 of those in there. What about you? What have you been up to, Paul?
What have I been up to? Well, as you know, I've been enjoying lots of different experiences. It's been a super action-packed, fun July so far. So I've been doing lots of work. Most recently, I was in Madrid doing some training around the whole world of marketing, from start to finish. That was a 2-day session I did in Madrid. But I've also been hiking in Wales. I've been at a festival in Wales. I've been golfing. And
Wow.
as we'll come on to, I was lucky enough to go to Silverstone and to
Yeah.
Wimbledon as well. So it's been a bit of a
Well,
blur.
all you need is the World Cup. If you went to the World Cup, you'd have all three big sporting
Yep,
events and the
yep.
Opens as well in Scotland, I
Yeah,
think.
but remember, A, I don't need to go to the World Cup because it's coming home,
Yeah.
and B, I'm just waiting for the last place at the Open. Somebody will drop out. I'll get the call. So that's going to complete the quartet.
Well, you've had an action. You should diarise and pod your live poll. You should come around with
Well,
you.
if
It
I
was
was on social media, that's what I would do. But social media has got plenty of people living their best lives. So
very,
I
very
limit mine to small groups of people on WhatsApp who no doubt get tired of and Strava. If you live on Strava, you'll get a sense of what I've been up to.
And what have you seen this week then, Paul?
Well, there's a couple of things actually, and through what I've been doing, you can't help but come across brands if you go to these big events, and I've been prompted to look at a couple of brands quite differently. See what you think. The first brand is Marks and Spencers. And guess where I came across Marks and Spencers in my efforts?
Does this spurred by the conference we were at, and someone mentioned M&S in the round table?
No, actually, but you're right, they did. So no, it wasn't then. Where else might it have been?
That you came across them just in everyday life?
Yeah, yeah, an activation, if you like.
Where have you been? At Silverstone?
There you go. There you go. You see? And I didn't expect to see M&S at Silverstone. So when I was there, I was wandering around, just soaking in the atmosphere. And M&S had got very prominent branding around the, I don't think it was around the track on, that you can see from TV, but on the stands. So if
Yeah.
you're a member of the public looking around, a visitor, you would see lots of M&S branding. I think they had quite big food offering stalls, I think.
Yeah.
And I also think they had some branding on one of the cars. But I got a lot of M&S, and it was surprising for me because I didn't naturally link M&S to Formula One. But the closer I looked at it, the more I thought, well, this is quite smart, because it seemed to say to me that M&S really understood their customers, because I mean, there's thousands, hundreds of thousands of people there, love Formula One. And when you're at Formula One, it's quite a commitment to go, because there's lots of walking around. There's not many creature comforts. The organisers do the best they can. But at the end of the day, you're going to a windy old airfield that's been converted into a Formula One track to see the pinnacle of motorsport in action. But it's not a great experience. And you're probably thinking, oh, we might get some average food and, just do the best we can. So it must be brilliant as a punter to turn up and there you've got M&S food. So that's really nice.
Yeah.
And I think also it supports the premium positioning for Marks and Spencers as well.
Yeah.
Because Formula One is very much premium brands, luxury brands, all the rest of it. So they get a bit of halo effect, I guess, from that as well. So I thought that M&S, let's call it an activation. I know it's a bit of a marketing word, but that M&S activity I thought was really well placed and changed my perceptions a bit about M&S. I thought, oh yeah, it's a bit more with it. It's a bit, it's understanding its customers. It's being quite brave.
Do you think M&S have done a really good job the last couple of years of shifting their brand perception, and from where they were before, maybe seen as a bit old and fuddy-duddy back in the day, but actually they've really moved it on? I think the food side of things has helped, but done that with the clothing side, and Silverstone's a really good example of how they're trying to take it even a step further, right? So yeah, it's really interesting to see how maybe that you'll see more of that potentially.
I think so. So hats off to M&S for maybe challenging and certainly changing my perception of their brand. The other brand I had reason to think about and to look at differently was pigeons.
Pigeons. Which brand is which brand is that? I'm gonna have to ask more about this one.
Well, it's not a brand, Warren. It's a species.
Yeah.
We're
There's
talking.
a company called Pigeons, which I hadn't heard of. But
No,
yeah,
no,
yeah,
no. We are talking about. There probably is a company called Pigeons, but we're talking about your common or garden. Again, I should probably rephrase that. We're talking about the magnificent species that is pigeons, because I was at a festival called Veg Out West, which was brilliant, by the way. You should go next year.
yeah,
And I discovered by listening to somebody from a pigeon sanctuary that they have terrible brand positioning. Now, if we accept that brand positioning is what people think about you, whether you like it or not, pigeon brand positioning I think is pretty awful, because I think famously, I think Ken Livingstone called pigeons rats with wings,
yeah,
which is a common perception.
yeah,
Whereas in fact, they are highly intelligent, monogamous birds that we have over history. We have domesticated pigeons and then abandoned them to look after themselves without, having removed the sort of evolutionary instincts they had to fend for themselves. So we've created this problem of sort of feral pigeons dependent on grain and rubbish to eat. Whereas in fact, there's an amazing human story I had no idea about, which is that with racing pigeons, the reason they race so effectively is partly because they're brilliant flyers. They fly at 90 miles an hour if they want to. But mainly because they're desperate to get back to their mate and to get back to their source of food, which they've been trained to think only comes from one place, their owner. And so the perception of pigeons as rats with wings is so far adrift of the reality.
Yeah.
It said to me that one has to absolutely change the story entirely to change beliefs. It's no good saying, well, they're not rats with wings, but you have to explain the full story of what lies behind pigeons and what they do to really change that belief. So I was fascinated by that. I thought you might quite like that juxtaposition of Marks and Spencer's and pigeons and perception change.
Perception change, yeah. And this sounds a bit marketing jargon and using cliche phrases, but sort of changing the narrative, I suppose, is it, around pigeons? Is that kind of what we're
Well,
saying?
I think the marketing lesson is exactly that. I think it's that, first of all, the perception is what, or the brand positioning is what people perceive it to be, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And if your brand perception is a million miles away from where you want it to be, you're
Mm,
probably going to have to change the story, change the narrative,
yeah.
because just doing what you've always been doing is unlikely to produce different results.
Yeah. Yeah. Agree. Yeah. I love that. It's really interesting. Yeah. And I never thought that about pigeons. And it does give you the view that the reality of what the reality is and what the perception is, two completely different things, is a good
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that. Very
Yes,
good.
absolutely. So that was my those are my observations. There are more, but those are the two I thought I'd share with you. How about you? I know you've been super busy. Has anything
Yeah.
floated your boat over the last couple of weeks?
Well, do you know what? I looked back at I did a post about this on LinkedIn. I looked back at our first episode of this compared to now. So I was just going to talk about the value for marketers. You have to be good communicators, don't you? You have to be able to get across a point, an argument internally and sometimes externally. So I think, it's easy for us to get hooked on the numbers. I mentioned we got 25,000 views, which is a brilliant bonus for us, isn't it? We love the fact we got good views,
Mm.
but actually one of the real values I've found, and I don't know about you, Paul, is actually watching myself back, which is cringeworthy to start with, because you have to do it through your fingertips sometimes. But actually, the real value in that is actually I've been able to see each week things to improve on, and most viewers people will notice, but I do, in regard to your body movements, how you get across an argument, the way you structure things, the way you debate with yourself, Paul. And so that for me has been really valuable in my day to day. And I'm not saying everyone should start a podcast. It is a good thing to do generally, just to watch yourself back and see how you can improve. But actually recording yourself, maybe on Teams calls, or, we're all doing virtual meetings now. There is value in watching those back to see how you can improve your communication skills. And I think that's a really important part of being a marketer. And actually, to your point about perception, let's keep the theme running. What you think you might be perceived as and the reality of what you're perceived as. Actually, by watching yourself back, you can actually probably see if there is a difference between what you think and what actually the perception might be by watching yourself. So I think there's real value, if you can, and I know it's hard, in watching yourself back and trying to improve those comp skills. So that's for me, because if we can't communicate effectively, that limits our jobs as marketers, right, internally, so and externally. So I think it's really important that marketers, that is a skill that we try to improve on.
Sorry, I didn't quite get your point there. No, I'm joking. No, your communication skills are excellent, Warren. No, I think that's right. And as you were saying that, I was thinking a bit about my experience with Americans, where I get the sense they're very good at communicating,
Mm,
which I think is because at school they get encouraged to communicate from quite an early age. And so when you see people in roles in the working space, they seem incredibly confident and fluent. And sometimes the argumentation isn't brilliant, but the skill of the communication can override that.
yeah.
So I think there's probably a middle ground, like anything, isn't there? It does feel like in the UK we're a bit reticent about being smooth and being good at communication. There's a bit of suspicion about good communication, sort of oily
Yeah.
salesperson.
Yeah.
But done right and with the right degree of humility and self-awareness, I think it's a powerful tool. And at the end of the day, if you've got a good idea and you're struggling to get it across, then that's a failure, and therefore
Yeah.
communication skills are important.
When you're in a meeting with the CFO,
Yeah.
communicate the value of marketing effectively, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I'd agree with that. It's an interesting point about Americans. You're right; they are good communicators, and there is something we can take away from that alongside our British kind of humility, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah. But well done you for doing a retrospective. I haven't dared to do that yet, but I take
I
the point. I think it's a good thing to do.
give it a go. We weren't awful, Paul. We were pretty good still, but I think we've well. I'll let other people be the judge of that, maybe. But yeah, we've definitely moved things along. I think
Cool. Cool.
great stuff. And what are you up to this week, Paul?
What am I up to this week? So it's a funny one. Continuing the theme of perspective, it feels like I'm looking through both ends of the telescope. On the one hand, I've been asked to give an organization a webinar on the future of marketing. And as you can imagine, that is quite a potentially big topic. A fascinating topic, but a big topic. And so I need to get my head around that and to get into, dare I say, visionary mode and start to leverage all the visionaries who are out there to get a sense of what the future of marketing might look like. But then at the other end of the telescope, I'm just pulling together a much shorter bit of online training. It'll be a webinar training, which is about data visualization. And to the point about storytelling, it's how can we support good storytelling with visuals that are accurate but also engaging and impactful. So that feels quite sort of microscopic in terms of its focus.
Yeah,
So I'm quite enjoying the juxtaposition of those two things. I've used that word twice today. But the challenge is, how do you switch mode? How do you switch mode from looking out into the distance versus looking very, very close? So perhaps a tea break between topics might be the way of
yeah.
dealing with that. I'm not sure.
Well, I look forward to hearing about that. I wonder if you can bring some of that visionary side of things to the next pod about your vision for the future of marketing, and we can have a debate about where we see it going.
Yeah, maybe I should. Maybe I should. Well, I'll see if I can think of anything first, and then and then share it. So yeah, that's me for the next
Yeah.
week, 2 weeks or so. How about you? What's happening in the world of Warren?
Well, I'm going away next week on holiday for 10 days. So with the family. So actually, I'm going to use it as a period of reflection. I think it has been a busy year. And so I've said yes to lots of things. And so it's been jam-packed week. So I'm going to use it to completely turn off all the emails, switch off completely, reflect a bit, and then come back refreshed.
So when your family say, why are you asleep? You're going to say, no, I'm reflecting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. We're, you've got to recharge the batteries, Paul. I
Yeah.
mean, you got batteries, but yeah. Well, I probably won't get away with the sleep. If I'm honest, Paul, not going to happen, is it? It'd be reflecting while with the kids in the pool, probably.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think just give your brain a rest,
Yeah.
and new things will come to mind, and old things will percolate a bit, and you'll perhaps have a different perspective on those.
Yeah.
But yeah, enjoy it and have a great break.
Hopefully, because we go Saturday, hopefully we're able to watch the World Cup final with England in it on Sunday night in Spain. It could be, you never know, it could be England, Spain. But
Well, if that's the case, I'm a winner either way because I have Spain in one of these, what do you call them? Syndicates or not a syndicate.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be, you can't lose then, can you? But let's see what happens tonight and tomorrow.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Come on, England. Anyways, good to speak as always, Paul, and look forward to meeting up in a couple of weeks.
Likewise, have a great break.
Cheers, Paul. Have a good one.